Behind the piercing, high-pitched streams, the black leather, and the roaring Harley speeding across the stage lies the story of a man whose life was far tougher than the music he performed. He is Rob Halford, the figure the world would one day call the metal god. But before becoming a heavy metal icon, Halford had to walk a long, winding road. A humble childhood in Walsall, the pressure of an identity he hid for years, battles with alcohol and depression, and even a serious fight against cancer. Through it all, he rose, creating operatic vocals that became the gold standard of metal, leaving Judas Priest at their peak, then returning to lead the band into a new, even greater era. How could an ordinary boy become the most influential voice in heavy metal history? How did his courage transform his life and inspire millions around the world? This is the short story of Rob Halford, a story of resilience, identity, and the strength of a legend who never gave up. Robert John Arthur Halford was born on August 25, 1951 in Sutton Coldfield, West Midlands, England. He was raised in Walsall, specifically in the Beechdale housing estate, a working-class residential area. His parents were Ron Halford and Joan Halford. Halford grew up in a working-class family. As a child, he was often exposed to music through the radio and the record collection at home, which eventually shaped his interests in rock and blues. He also had a sister named Sue Halford, who would later play an important role in his career journey, because it was through Sue that Rob was first introduced to Ian Hill, bassist and co-founder of Judas Priest. Before fully diving into music, Halford worked in several places, including as a manager at a men's clothing store, a job he held before finally joining Judas Priest in 1973. Entering the 1980s, Rob Halford stood firmly as one of the most influential vocalists in heavy metal history. With Judas Priest, he was at the forefront of the new wave of British heavy metal. Albums like British Steel, 1980, Screaming for Vengeance, 1982, and Defenders of the Faith, 1984, were not only commercially successful, but helped establish new standards for modern metal. Halford's operatic voice, capable of soaring from low growls to sky-shattering falsettos, became a defining characteristic that inspired generations of metal singers. In 1990, Judas Priest released one of their hardest and most complex albums, Painkiller. It showcased a new level of aggression, powered by Scott Travis's rapid drumming and Halford's vocals at the peak of his technical ability. The Painkiller World Tour was spectacular, though a dramatic incident occurred on August 19, 1991, in Toronto. Entering the stage on his Harley-Davidson, a long-standing tradition of his performances, Halford crashed due to a stage malfunction. He briefly lost consciousness and broke his nose, but after waking up, he continued and finished the concert. Not long after the tour, Halford felt the urge to explore his musical identity outside Judas Priest. He was advised that to pursue a solo project, he needed to technically resign. The letter he wrote to clarify this intention leaked and was misunderstood as a full resignation. Due to various personal circumstances at the time, he couldn't correct the misunderstanding, and eventually, Halford truly left Judas Priest in the early 1990s. The split shocked the metal world, given how crucial he had been to the band's rise. Outside Judas Priest, Halford entered a period of creative exploration. He formed Fight with Scott Travis, releasing War of Words 1993 and A Small Deadly Space 1995, which embraced groove and early nu metal elements. After Fight disbanded, he ventured into industrial territory with Two, releasing Voyeurs 1998, produced by Dave Ogilvy and released under Trent Reznor's Nothing Records. Toward the late 1990s, Halford returned to his heavy metal roots by forming the band Halford. The album Resurrection 2000 marked his artistic comeback, widely praised as one of his strongest works since the classic Judas Priest era. Halford returned to major stages, touring with Iron Maiden and Queensryche. He released the live album Live Insurrection 2001 and the studio album Crucible 2002, proving that his creativity was far from fading. In the early 2000s, Halford's relationship with the members of Judas Priest began to heal. After more than a decade apart, in July 2003, Halford officially returned as the band's vocalist. The announcement was met with huge excitement across the metal community. His return not only reunited the classic lineup, but also reignited a creative spark that had been missing for years. In 2004, Judas Priest launched a global reunion tour, proving their old chemistry was still alive. A year later, in 2005, they released Angel of Retribution, the first studio album since Halford's return. The album received highly positive reactions, with many fans calling it the perfect blend of classic and modern Judas Priest. The year 2005 also marked the band's three-decade journey, and Halford's return was seen as the beginning of a renewed golden era for Judas Priest in the 21st century. Rob Halford's love life long existed in the shadows because he had to hide his sexual identity through the 70s and 80s. The metal scene at the time was extremely masculine and filled with stigma, placing heavy pressure on Halford and affecting his mental health. The turning point came in 1998 when, during an MTV interview, he spontaneously stated that he was gay. He described the moment as a tremendous release, though he initially feared losing fans. But the opposite happened. The metal community accepted Halford as he was, and the public saw him as a courageous and honest figure. After coming out, Halford was more free to live his private life. He is now married to his partner, Thomas, who has long been his closest source of support. Though he rarely shares details of their relationship, Halford often says that Thomas provides him peace, especially during difficult times, such as his struggles with substance abuse and health issues. This stable and accepting love life became the space where Halford could finally live as his true self, honest, peaceful, and whole. Rob Halford, the legendary metal god of Judas Priest, is estimated to have a net worth of around US $14 million, according to Celebrity Net Worth. This number reflects his long and productive career in music, both with Judas Priest and through his side projects. Most of Halford's wealth comes from his career as Judas Priest's lead vocalist. Over the decades, the sales of classic albums like British Steel, Screaming for Vengeance, and Painkiller generated significant royalties. On top of that, Judas Priest's concerts and world tours have consistently brought in large revenue, as the band remains highly active and globally popular. Beyond Judas Priest, Halford expanded his income through side projects like Fight, 2, and his solo band, Halford. Through these projects, he released albums, performed on stage, and sold merchandise, all contributing to his earnings. He also monetized his metal god identity through a line of merchandise. Branded merch, leather-themed apparel, and collectible items from Judas Priest and Halford added another steady stream of income. Alongside music and merchandise, Halford has appeared in films and voiced characters in video games, which also contributed to his wealth. Rob Halford lives a unique lifestyle, a blend of humble British working-class roots and a love for powerful machines. Despite being a heavy metal legend, he does not live extravagantly. Halford has long divided his time between England and the United States, with one of his most well-known residences located in Paradise Valley, Arizona. The home is large and luxurious, around 5,000 square feet, yet still reflects Halford's elegant but modest taste. Behind his flamboyant stage persona, Halford actually loves classic things. He has a strong passion for vintage cars and muscle cars. His collection includes a 1970s Aston Martin DBS, a Chevrolet Corvette, and a Mercury Cougar, which he called one of the most powerful cars he has ever driven. For daily driving, he once used a 2006 Cadillac DTS, which he said had everything he needed: a V8, comfort, and technology. Halford's love for machines doesn't stop at cars. On stage, he often rides in on a Harley Davidson, making it an iconic part of Judas Priest's imagery. Outside the world of machines, Halford is known as someone who loves to read. He often mentions that reading helps him find inspiration, calm his mind, and maintain focus, especially after he quit alcohol and drugs in the mid-1980s. Halford also has more personal hobbies, listening to mostly classic music. He is a huge fan of Freddie Mercury, often saying he learned much about vocal expression and stage presence from the late legend. In several interviews, he has said he enjoys quiet time, taking peaceful walks, and simply relaxing with his partner Thomas. Despite being a heavy metal icon, Halford's hobbies reveal that he is someone who values serenity, art, and machines, a combination that truly reflects who he is. In the end, Rob Halford's journey is not just about blazing metal stages. It is a story of darkness and triumph. Halford rose not only as the metal god, but as a symbol of courage to stay true to oneself. And that is Rob Halford's legacy, a voice, a bravery, and an inspiration that will never fade.